It's a responsibility.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when a person has connections in this world, then through these connections a person can reach many places where others can't, and a person can achieve many things which others can just dream of. If a person has connections, then he can reach into the offices of the Prime Minister, the President. They can get contracts directly from the Prime Minister and the President. Whether everybody likes it or then complains about it, that's another question. But they can get these contracts, they can get these different payments, etc. And a person can achieve many things through this. Sometimes, obviously, it might be incorrect to do this. Sometimes there's nothing wrong in this if it's in a correct manner and used in an appropriate manner. If a person has connections with, for example, a pious person, knows a person who has a connection with a pious person, then he can speak to that person and says that this pious person is coming, you know him, he's quite close to you, this Buzurg is coming, the Sheikh is coming, Sheikh al-Hadith Sahib is coming, we also want a program in our masjid, then can you try and sort something out for us? And through your connections you can try to get this program, try to get a meeting with that person, try to yourself meet that person and that individual. So a person can achieve these kind of things. Once Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, there used to be an individual, Uyayn ibn Hisan, he was close to Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. He had an uncle by the name of Aqra ibn Habis, if I recall correctly the names, of if I'm correct or not, I'm not sure. But he says that my uncle wanted to meet Sayyidina Umar. So I went to Sayyidina Umar and I said, look, this my uncle of mine, he wishes to meet you. So if you allow me, then I can bring him. So he had this connection. So because of this connection, he got to meet Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu one-to-one, private conversation. In that conversation didn't really go very well, unfortunately. And he was a villager. He was not aware of the adabs and the etiquettes, how to conduct oneself in front of Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu anhu. And he had some complaints that he wanted to let out. And he kind of like insulted Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu as well. Umar radiyallahu anhu became quite enraged as well. And he would have taken his whip out and he would have dealt with him. But then Uyayn ibn Hisan rahimahullah ta'ala calmed him down. I said, don't worry, khudh al-af, forgive, it doesn't matter, things happen. Wa'mur bil-urf, enjoying good, don't worry, it's no big deal. وَعَارِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. People conduct with you in whatever way, it doesn't matter. You know how to conduct yourself. You know how you're supposed to be behaving. You know what to say. Don't get angry. It doesn't matter. Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, when he heard this, then كَانَ وَقَّافًا عِنْدَ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ. As soon as this is, that's fine. It doesn't matter. No problem. And he let it go and he went away. So a person has connections, and through these connections, a person can reach many, many places. So people have connections with, the Imam of the Haram, or people have connection with people within there, and they can say, oh look, I can get you inside the Ka'batullah. I can get for you a piece of the Kiswa when they change it every year. I can do this, I can do that. Through your connections, you can achieve this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that, look, these connections, that's fine, no problem. But remember one thing, if this connection is not based on taqwa, and this connection is not based for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this connection won't get you anywhere in the hereafter. This connection won't get you anywhere in the hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions a couple of examples towards the end of, right at the end of the juz which we just recited today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that, look, two great prophets, Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam and Sayyidina Lut alayhi salatu wassalam, very great prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they had wives. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states that, look, كانتا تحت عبدين من عبادنا. They were in the nikah of two great servants of ours, pious individuals. But فَلَمْ يُغْنِيَا عَنْهُمَا. Nothing benefited them. They couldn't do anything for them. Why? Because that connection was not based for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They disbelieved. فَخَانَتَاهُمَا. They disbelieved. They did not listen to and respond to the call of their husbands in terms of deen. So their relationship in this world was fine, but when it comes to the hereafter, this relationship ceases to exist and it has no worth whatsoever. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thereafter states regarding another woman, and Allah ta'ala says, look, one of the, if not the greatest tyrant ever to come on the face of this earth, none other than Fir'aun himself. He also had a wife, and she was connected to him, but she had her relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that was her primary relationship. That was her primary connection. And because of this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted her. And she made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, رَبِّ ابْنِ لِي عِنْدَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Oh Allah, build for me a palace and a mahal in Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted her that palace, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted her Jannah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also states that, look, you may be of a very high position, you may have big connections, you may be from a pious family, you may have pious affiliations and connections, but just remember this, that if you don't do something yourself, these things will not help you. مَنْ بَطَّأَ بِهِ عَمَلُهُ لَمْ يُسْرِعْ بِهِ نَسَبُهُ. If your a'mal keep you behind, then your lineage, your connections, your affiliations are not going to take you forward. You have to strive for yourself. You have to do your own a'mal. You have to worry about your own akhirah and your own Jannah. Just because your father is an alim or an imam, or just because your uncle is a Shaykh al-Hadith, or just because your grandfather was a founder of a Darul Uloom, that doesn't mean that it's going to benefit you. You need to worry about yourself. You need to ensure that you are doing what you need to do. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, addressing his very own daughter and addressing his very own auntie, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say, Ya Fatima, anqidhi nafsaki min al-nar, fa inni la ughni anki min Allahi shay'a. O Fatima, you need to save yourself from the fire of Jahannam. If you don't save yourself from the fire of Jahannam, then there's nothing I can do. If you go without Iman, there's nothing I can do. Yes, if Iman is there, then there's something maybe I can try and assist, maybe of sifarish, etc. But if you just thinking that I am the daughter of the Prophet, and it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter how I conduct myself, it doesn't matter how I deal with others, then it's fine. My father is the beloved of Allah, and my father is the Prophet of Allah, and my father is the greatest person ever to come on the face of this earth. So I don't need to worry about myself. Then you need to clear this conscience. You need to make sure that you ensure that you actually clear your mind and take this wrong notion from your mind that no, if you want to achieve something, you're going to have to do it yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand that we are responsible for our own actions, and we will reap what we sow. If we do good, then that is what we will find in the hereafter. If we do wrong, then unfortunately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold us to account. Nobody else will be questioned regarding what we did. We won't be questioned regarding what others did. We will be questioned regarding what we did, and they will be questioned regarding what they did. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to understand this, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to make fikr for ourselves and to try to bring our connection close with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa akhir da'wan alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa sallallahu ta'ala khayr khalqi Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi.